Thanks. Obviously, well kind of paper, and I suppose you've ended on the kind of point I was going to start with is the way to address a lot of these issues is the increase in supply. That's absolutely a must. And I suppose it was myself that brought the paper to declare the housing emergency, and obviously we didn't do that lightly. I think we understood the pressures that we were facing at that time, and that's obviously over a year and a half ago now that we did that. And I think it's fair to say that since we even declared the housing emergency, the pressures have only continued to grow in terms of the demand on our services in terms of homelessness as well. It is, I mean, absolutely welcome the delivery of the number of units in terms of the affordable housing supply programme that have been delivered. Obviously, one of the big things I did last year was meeting with the housing minister to try and reverse the kind of cuts in the affordable housing supply programme funding, which I'm glad to see that has happened. But also, crucially, one of the things that we were advocating for was for a prioritisation of funding to those areas most in need. And obviously the government did listen in terms of that acquisition funding, and we managed to secure a significant level of funding over and above what we would normally have been allocated through the kind of the funding formulas there. So I suppose one of the questions I've got is how do we try and work with other local authorities to look at a more balanced approach in terms of how that funding is distributed and allocated based on need and not just a kind of normal allocation formula. It's certainly something politically that I've been driving with national government, and I'll obviously continue to do so, because I think Glasgow is a unique case in terms of the pressures that we're facing. You mentioned the issue with refugees and asylum accommodation in the city, and that's obviously a deliberate decision by the UK government, obviously, to batch process, which in turn is the right thing to do, because they were sitting on applications for far too long and people have been waiting for far too long. But they've done it without real consultation with the City of Glasgow. They've done it without any consultation with ourselves, really, in terms of how we manage that. It also has not been done with any additional funding coming towards the city. I've been, alongside the council leader, lobbying to try and get a meeting with the new Labour government and the government ministers. Thus far, they have not agreed to meet with us. We've not been able to do that, which I think is disappointing because of the pressures that we're facing. So again, I'm just using this platform in this place to urge the UK government again to listen to us and listen to the concerns that we've got, and try and kind of meet with the city and try and see how we deal with this issue in a kind of grown-up way. Because right now, the kind of silence that's coming from the UK government, I don't think is in any way helpful to addressing the homelessness pressures that we're facing. So I suppose two things in there. I suppose how do we try and get more funding for the city in terms of building more affordable homes? How do we try and prioritise based on need and not just that normal allocation? And yeah, just to really highlight the fact that we really desperately need to be meeting with UK government on this, because a lot of the issues that we're facing in the city are based around the decision-making processes of their government.